And we're live. All right, guys, let's do this. I am going to talk about some truths and some myths and some motherfucking lies. There's a lot. I'm going to wait for you guys to come into the chat. Feel free to say hello so I know that the chat is working. So let's do this. I'm in my RV camper that I bought as I did the exodus out of California. Moved to Texas. I wanted a more free life. You guys know what I mean? All right, let's talk about this. And then we're going to talk. Then we're going to do some updates. People always are DMing me weird stuff. Like someone said that Stephanie said that you have to eat 200 grams of fat, and that's not true. I mean, you're never going to lose weight. Hey, from Venice, Florida. Hey, Fred. You're never going to lose weight if you're eating 200 grams of fat. So I've been talking a lot about fat lately, and I wanted to go into the deep dive of why actually people do why they do gain weight on a ketogenic protocol and even a carnivore protocol. So I had a guy a couple days ago in a consultation that was doing carnivore, and he started gaining weight. And we're talking fat weight. And I thought, let's talk about this. All right. So first, I want to go show you something about blood sugar because that's what it's about. And a lot of people don't know how to read a blood sugar chart in milligrams per deciliter and in millimolars. So let's hit it. Let me find this sucker. All right. Let me pull this and blow this up so you guys can see. All right. Just give me 1 second because we want to talk about blood sugar, okay? All right. Can you guys see that chart? This is very, very important to check out. Let me get this like this. All right, so here we have a chart. I'm getting a little hot. Got the heater up in here. All right. So, all right, you guys can see the chart. Awesome. Now, this is millimolars and milligrams per deciliter, and we also have your HbA1c. A lot of people do not know what an A1C is, and this is an A1C test to test your hemoglobin levels, and it's the measure of your blood sugar over the past 3 months. So that is your HbA1c, and that is a more accurate test. I think I need to take off these snowboarding pants. Girls getting a little warm up in here. Excuse me, people. Okay. So here we have, hey, from New Zealand. Sorry, Stacey, you have to go through that nonsense there. Okay. Let me blow this up a little bigger. There we go. So to be in ketosis, you got to be, and I'm going to do milligrams per deciliter and millimolars. With your milligrams per deciliter, you need to be between a 72 and an 83. So if you look on that chart, you can actually see the comparables. So we've got more like a 7. You can be between a 72 and, or actually even a 70, but the sweet spots are really a 4.3 or 76 milligrams per deciliter up to an 83 milligrams per deciliter. And on this chart, you can see that 76 is 4.3 for the rest of the people who use millimolars. It's 4.3 to 4.5. That's the sweet spot in a real 4.4. And 4.3, those are great numbers, 76 and 79, to be in ketosis. Now, the reason why you guys are gaining weight, and all these idiots are saying that if you do more than 200 grams of fat, or if you eat a bunch of fat, you're going to gain weight. But nobody actually breaks down why that is. It's not just that you eat fat and get fat, it's your hormones. And I wanted to show you guys instead of just talk about it. Okay? Okay, so somebody says, Elena says that her A1C is 4.8. That's considered amazing, right? Because that's your blood sugar over 3 months, past 3 months. Your fasted blood sugar is something different. Your fasted blood sugar is a daily fasted when you wake up in the morning check of your blood sugar, right? There's also continuous glucose monitors. Those things tend to be off a little bit by a certain percentage, but it kind of gives you an idea of the algorithm of your blood sugar. This chart that you guys see in front of you is everything. It's literally everything to do with your health. And I'm going to continue to explain why. Now, this might appear blurry to some of you. I hope it doesn't. I hope you can actually see the numbers. Let me get to the chart where I can see it bigger. Okay, so the problem is that a lot of people who do keto will be up with their fasted blood sugar. I'm not talking about your A1C, right? This person's A1C at, I think, 4.8. And if you look at that, it's 93 milligrams per deciliter for her A1C hemoglobin check. But what we really want to see, really to be like hardcore ketotic, is we want to see a 4.5, a 4.6. 4.8 is getting a little high for ketosis, but it's totally fine. It's not the best, but it's optimal. It's okay. So if you look at this chart here, people who start the ketogenic diet will have blood sugar of 90, or from 90 to, a lot of people have about from 90 to about 110. And if we take that in millimolars, that's 4.7 to a 5.2 or 5.3 in millimolars. And so we've got milligrams per deciliter in the European international, that's not international units, but internationally used is millimolars. And people will start this, their blood sugar's high, then they add all this fat. Let me get back to you guys. People will add a lot of fat to their diet and their blood sugar is high. So insulin is the next problem for y'all who have problems with gaining weight. There's about 3 reasons why people have issues with body fat. It's not Stephanie's recommended $200 because people are trying to shoot that down. I'm not having it. Okay? So it's not that you're eating 200 grams of fat. It's how your body uses that fat. So you could either use that fat as ketones, and with ketones, it's great. It can go to all cells. It can go to the brain. It can go to the muscle cells. It's great. It can go for structure, for the lining of your cells, the lining of your cells, or it can be pooped out. So, not really verse. It's just because there's 2 different systems of the American system, which is typically milligrams per deciliter. That's from 1 to 400, 1, 2, 3 on up. And with the millimolars, you're using a decimal point. So you're going 4.5 or 5.0 or 5.1, 5.2, and so on. As to not, because I get a lot of international people that get very confused as to why I'll say one level or type of measurement in comparison to another. So the reason why people have a hard time gaining muscle, burning fat, dealing with their autoimmunity, keto adapting, and they start giving up on keto is this chart that you see right in front of you. It's for this chart. Point blank period. People are not getting their blood sugar down. They're not. They are not. or people having problems with their estrogen. So your fat cells can make estrone, and estrone can be converted into estradiol. And if estradiol, too much estradiol is being made and secreted with men and women, you gonna get fat. I don't care if you eat a grape and you eat 10 calories a day. If your insulin is not working and your estrone is converting to estradiol, and men, your testosterone is going down and you're producing too much dihydrotestosterone, which that's the testosterone type that we don't want a lot of, because what does it do? It has a lot of estradiol, uh, estrogen signaling in your pathways. And then if you guys don't have good functioning livers, you're going to get fat. You're going to lose muscle on a scale, and you are not going to lose the weight that you want. So let me blow myself back up so you guys can see me better. Hi, guys. And this is, I'm trying to sort of break the truth and the myth. So the myth is that if you eat fat, you're going to get fat. That's a myth. You guys know that that's a myth. And a lot of people fare very successful on these protocols because they can balance their blood sugar, their A1C, and their insulin. Well, their insulin and their hormones, which is their thyroid hormones, their adrenal hormones, and their sex hormones. And they can poop. And that means that they can poop out the estrogen. If you can't poop, then estrogen keeps recycling back into the bloodstream and continuing to signal your body to be in a hormonal dichotomy mess. Just mess. Menopause comes and estrogen problems begin. To be honest, is it? The thing that is really the problem is that when you're going through menopause, you are going to be estrogen dominant. Unfortunately, because your ovaries are going to stop producing. Thank you, Dimitri. Your ovaries are going to stop producing progesterone and testosterone, and then, of course, like I said, your fat cells can produce estrone and then signal and convert and make estradiol. And then we've got too much signaling, circulating estradiol in the body. And that's going to tell your body to make lady bits bigger, fattier, more breast tissue, more hips, more thighs, more everything. So that lies the problem. And I'm just trying to educate you guys so you're not afraid to be in ketosis on a ketogenic diet or on a carnivore diet at all. So for those who are doing low carb, high fat, you also risk these hormonal issues. Now, some people do low carb, high fat because they just can't keto adapt. And so I often put with people on a LCHF, low carb, high fat, because they might have a gallbladder problem, they might have thyroid problems, they might have adrenal issues, and then I'll put them on low carb, high fat, and then hopefully they can switch to a keto omnivore diet. There's all these crazy diets. People are intermittent fasting. People are doing extended fast, and pretty much if you do and even I would say a carnivore diet would be considered a sort of a fast, not in the sense that you're not eating, but you're taking away these inflammatory foods so your body can heal, right? But our goal isn't to take away plants, because we've learned that you lose diamine oxidase, you lose the ability to clear out histamine. And then when you try to eat those histamine latent foods, you can't tolerate them. So what's the point of doing carnivore? If it worsens over time, your symptoms, first you feel great and then it starts worsening over time. So we want to fix those initial problems. Hi, Steph. Can you do a video on cosmetics one day and collect the makeup? I don't plan on stopping, but I try not to breathe in powders. Um, why don't you just not do foundation and blush? Then you don't have to breathe in powders. But I'll do a video on skincare and makeup and all of that. Um, so if our hormones are messed up, do we need to give up keto? I've been on keto for 8 months and my numbers are getting worse. So Mary Ann, it's really important to understand, like, why are your numbers getting worse? So that's why I want to kind of go over the potentials of why they could get worse. So for example, you go into do a keto, you don't check your blood sugar before. You're all these are like um just examples, like sort of fake examples of what I've seen, type of situations I've seen with other people. And other people will come in and they'll have insulin resistance. They don't know that their blood sugar is unstable because they might mask it with coffee. Um, People might mask it with a lot of carbs. People might mask it with um, just using their adrenal system to give them energy. Because a lot of people who fast, the reason why they feel great a lot of the times is because their adrenals are going to take over where there's no food coming in. And that's what we don't want, because over time you have like blood sugar instability. So a lot of people will do a keto diet. They'll have too much protein, or they'll do inflammatory foods. So inflammatory foods can also spike your blood sugar. So what are inflammatory foods? They're cheese. Cheese, yes, cheese, dairy. For the casein, but a lot of people are doing cheese that's not from a grass-fed cow. So now we're like compacting the problem, because these cows are they receive hormones to produce more milk, and then their udders get infected. Then they're given antibiotics to clear up the infection. Then they pasteurize the milk. And so the bacteria goes away, and then we're left with this IGF-1, and we're left with a growth factor. And that's why casein, when you have a lot of casein, people are doing like protein shakes with casein, that's what ends up being so inflammatory to the gut. I cannot believe people do casein isolate protein, like the worst thing to destroy your gut wall. So I'm going to answer these questions. I just want to continue on this line of the truth, the myth, and what would actually be the truth and false, what's true. So does 200 grams of fat alone make you gain weight? No, that's absurd. That's absurd. Now, certain people have eaten fat, but they've eaten more than 200 grams of fat and have stress. They've got blood sugar instabilities at certain times of stress, not sleeping well, sometimes of stress, and also potentially leptin issues. So, leptin is another hormone that a lot of people don't test for. Sometimes it's difficulty to get a leptin signaling test to see if it's resistant. So leptin is a hormone made in your fat cells. It's the hormone that tells you to stop eating, and it's the hormone that's going to decide if you're going to burn fat or store fat. There's also people with thyroid issues. So even if your blood sugar looks normal, but you're not producing enough thyroid hormone or T3, the body does not want to burn the fat. It just doesn't. So let's say, oh, I tested my blood sugar and it's 80 or 79 milligrams per deciliter. My ketones are 2.4, and I think I'm sleeping well, but I can't lose any weight. I can't bring down my body fat. So, number one, you've got to realize the hormonal problems, all right? Don't forget that. You've got the estradiol production problem of dominance of estradiol, men and women and men. Then we have things like leptin signaling, that's a problem. And then we have thyroid. So these are all the things that no one talks about. And people become very confused as to, well, my numbers are great. My blood sugar does look fantastic. And why am I still gaining weight? Or why can't I lose that body fat? So the myth is that it's the fat alone. Fat's not the problem. Fat, fat, fat is great. Your body wants to use fat. There's fat soluble vitamins in fat. There's vitamin D, there's vitamin A, there's vitamin E and K. I said K. Vitamin D, E, A, and K. Vitamin D is what you're going to get in a lot of fats like egg yolks and butter. You're even going to get it just in the other fats, the trimmings from ruminants. You want things like cows and horses and and goats and sheep and these types of animals. So if things aren't broken down to you and you're eating fat and then you do a keto diet for 8 months and you step on a scale and then gurus are saying, don't eat that fat, don't eat the fat that Steph recommends, that's when you're going to start to believe that. But people don't contextualize why. Why am I gaining weight since doing a keto diet? And then people will do 130 grams of fat and think that they're getting fat on 130. If you're a carb eater, you should be doing at least 120. So we need fat. We need it for skin. We need it for our brain. We need the cholesterol for our sex hormones. We need it for the cell linings of your lungs and all the cells in your body. Don't forget to like up the stream, guys, so people can find my lives. But that is a myth that 200 grams of fat makes you gain weight. Fat does not incite insulin. Carbs do. So the reason why some people actually gain weight when they up their fat beyond those three that I mentioned is because they can't regulate their insulin. So insulin and also another thing that no one talks about is that insulin in some people just stacks up in the blood. The body's not clearing it out very well. So what your body ends up doing is that insulin can start continuing to do a thing called glycation, damage the cell, and also still signal you to store fat. So people will notice that their blood sugar is down, but unless you check your insulin, that's why A1C is another great test because, well, what does my blood sugar look like over time rather than just fasted? Because some people have like those perfect numbers that I showed you on the chart. And then they still are having issues not losing weight. So it's not the fat, it's the hormones that will do something with that fat. Fat does not incite insulin, carbs do. You absolutely, if you're having a high carb diet and you're eating 200-300 grams of carbs and you don't produce, and you have insulin resistance or your beta cells aren't producing insulin, which is type 1 diabetes, you could die. So as you can see, it's not actually eating fat that makes you fat. It's always going to be something with your hormones. And that's why when people start talking about calories, it's absolute nonsense, absolute ridiculousness. Now, people say, well, so I can eat as much fat as I want and I'm going to just lose weight. And nothing is that black and white. Who is that individual? What's going on with their hormones? What's going on with their liver? Can they actually get rid of the estrogen? Is their gallbladder working enough to break down those fats so they can make the substrates in the liver as ketones and get into the Krebs cycle, right? Acetoacetate, get to the body and get past the blood-brain barrier so your body can use that as energy, these ketone bodies, which is units of fat from your body fat. And people aren't factoring in, people will use urine strips and see that it turns purple and they're like, I'm in ketosis, and I'm like, no. Or people have been lied to and have been told that ketones at a 0.5 on in the millimolars is ketosis. You can call it ketosis, but that's not enough to do anything. If your blood sugar is still in the 90s, or if it's still in the latter part of 4.6 4.8 millimolars, if it's high, you're not going to use those ketones. So fat does not make you fat. It never has and it never will. It is always going to be the hormones that are going to dictate if you're going to store fat or burn fat. Thyroid, insulin, estrogen. Boom, 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 cortisol. Boom, 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 boom. That's it. So, Lord have mercy on your sex hormones. Like, people just need to learn this. So when they don't eat enough fat, I have so many people develop hypoglycemia. They have a drop in thyroid hormone. So that's one of the the truths and lies that fat makes you fat. It doesn't. It's impossible that fat makes you fat. Just like that. Oh, I eat fat, I'm going to get fat. No, it's the hormone that's going to take the fat, and which is insulin, and the glucose because you can't sleep well, because you can't get your stress down, because you keep eating inflammatory foods, or you keep working out fasted or intermittent fasting or working out late, and your blood sugar's high, and then cortisol starts going to gluconeogenesis and breaking down amino acids to raise your blood sugar. And now everything in your blood gets stored because now your insulin is like, I'm just going to take everything out. I mean, I don't know what to do. Okay, so I'm going to go and look at more comments here. Let's see what we got. Let's see. So again, Elena was asking if a 4.8 is considered good, and it is pretty good, considering most people have over a 5, which is not good. And like I said, Marianne said that her hormones were getting worse on keto. Most likely, people don't eat enough fat. They always count the fat that they're cooking with, and I don't, because a lot of that gets oxidized. A lot of it gets cooked off, it evaporates, and gets stuck on the pan. So, yeah, we want what you put on the plate, and even like lick the plate. Okay, so estrogen problems first, and then menopause begins, and not the inverse. It exacerbates, right? If you're in menopause, you really your testosterone is down, you're super estrogen dominant, and you begin to store more fat. And that's what you see with women who are premenopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause is a spike in estrogen, and then it's this negative loop, right? Because now your fat cells are making more estrogen, which is signaling estradiol. It's converting, and then it's saying, "Hey, store more fat." And but you can actually, with women going through menopause, you can actually have your adrenals take over where your ovaries stop working. So you just got to think, like, how can I maximize the balance of my hormones, which is taking care of your adrenal system, and pooping, so you can get rid of that excess estrogen. See, Hadi Lux says, "Hey Steph, can you do a video?" Okay, I read that. Can someone heal from pancreatitis? Yes. Yeah, so people who are having pancreatitis, it's really gnarly. It's very scary, but it's an inflammatory disease and of the pancreas. And you guys, if you're not too far gone, it's the same thing like with the gallbladder. If your gallbladder is filled with a bunch of stones and there's an infection, that's why people remove the gallbladder, because it can be so dangerous if it gets too infected that you can die from it. But most people who find out they have gallbladder issues can save their gallbladder by dissolving those stones and flushing them out of your body through the whole biliary duct system. I'm having trouble working out. Okay, so I don't know why you're having trouble with working out, but if you give me a clue, I might be able to help you. Okay, are blood liver enzyme tests reliable indicator about how your liver is doing? Yes. As far as I know, they're a pretty good indication that if your liver is getting thick and not filtrating properly, yeah. So I would definitely go get a liver enzyme test. Yes, ALT and AST. Exactly. Let's see. Okay, blush and setting powders are our favorite. Your skin is flawless because your strict lifestyle and your healthy gut and liver. Ketovore helped. Ketovore, which is, do you mean ketovore as in adding plants, or do you mean as in high fat carnivore? Just to be sure. And your healthy gut, liver, ketovore helped with my subderm. But I battle along the psoriasis. I knew the subderm with the skin issues. Your lifelong psoriasis. So definitely should go and think about the gut wall strength, which is why a lot of people suffer from psoriasis. They don't realize they've got permeability issues, that the gut wall has opened up and it's not tight. And so that's something you guys need to consider. Okay, my glucose and ketone index number is 25. What's ideal? My glucose and ketone index number, what? 25 point? I think, what do you, that's not milligrams. No. That's not millimolars or milligrams per deciliter. I don't know what you mean. 25 point? Like you haven't even hit a 1? I mean, point? Are you saying? My glucose ketone index. Okay, there is no glucose ketone index. There's glucose index and ketone index. So I'm a little confused. Okay, I'm going to get some water going here. Okay, I'm going to go over some more truths and myths on keto. Another lie is that women cannot do keto for the long term. So, because I've been coaching for 13 years now, somebody needs to say my glucose, 65 glucose divided by, oh, that's what you're doing. I never heard anybody call it, this must be a new trend, calling it the glucose ketone index, which is very confusing. I would rather separate them because they do work independently. If your glucose is 65 and your ketones are 2.6, ketones are looking good. Okay, the carnivore lion, how much fat are you eating? I really want to know how much fat you're eating. Tell me how much fat you're eating, and then tell me how you feel with the glucose at 65, and then I can tell my thoughts. But a lot of people say that women cannot do a keto diet because of their sex hormones and because of their thyroid hormones. So carnivore or keto for hypothyroid, and how can I? Okay, always keto omnivore. So carnivore is keto in a sense, because if you're going to do a carnivore diet, just make it high fat so you can get into ketosis. But I know that keto recommends cruciferous vegetables, which have a goitrogenic effect. But if you cook those cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage, asparagus, then you will not have so much of this goitrogenic effect, and then you can still get a bit of that prebiotic fiber for the probiotics, so your diamine oxidase production can continue staying in effect, right? The thymus and other parts, intestine and kidneys, keep producing diamine oxidase. Carnivore, keto, hypothyroid, how can I start? So always keto omnivore is the best because we need the vegetables for the potassium. You're not going to get enough from meat. Just not with a leaking gut, which most people have, and our soil just doesn't have enough magnesium, unfortunately. How did you end up making a decision to buy an RV? Okay, real quick off topic. You guys know I moved from Los Angeles, actually Hollywood, to Texas because, I mean, I'm not of any P class, political class. I'm not. Had to break up the words because the algorithms here. Um, uh, but I'm of brown skin, right? And I have many mixtures of Afrocentricity, including Eurocentricity. And I got a little ethnic hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff. And I left because I didn't like all of this virtue nonsense signaling. And, my friends are like, oh, W people are just all, was arist. Sorry for guys if you don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I moved to Texas because people had this, and they love the place where they live. And I like that because I wanted to feel safe. Wasn't that safe in Cali? And people were dumb. Not everybody, most. Not everybody, because I have a couple friends getting out too. So I bought an RV so I could live where my horse, because you guys know I have a horse. I brought him to Texas, and so I wanted to live. I didn't want to have him at a boarding facility anymore. I just wanted to live where my horse was, so we can create the ultimate. I rescued him, and I wanted to have that time to bond, like this. And plus, I don't want to rent an apartment. This is my little house. You guys know I'm about to paint this thing. I'm gonna do the DIY, do it yourself makeover, and I'm going to do the whole vlogging of it. on this channel. Okay, that's why. So I get to live in my home, right? I've decorated it, but I got this wallpaper, this pearl beige stuff, that's out. Okay. The Carnivore line says, I hate the virtue signaling move from Toronto to Florida. Oh, you got out in enough time, honey. Unless you're American or originally you found peace again, right? That's how I feel. I do a lot of consultations. People don't understand me, and it's sad because when I try to explain to them what's going on, because a lot of people don't research stuff, they don't want to hear anymore because they get scared. But that's a whole nother subject. Now the women, people are worried about the thyroid doing a low carb diet, which is like keto or carnivore, even low carb, high fat. Yes, yes, people, you can develop worsening thyroid issues if you have an underlying thyroid issue, problems with your thyroid stimulating hormone, or if you're not producing enough T3. Yes, you can develop a worsening underlying thyroid situation. Or you can have no thyroid problem at all, and you can intermittent fast, and you can not eat enough fat and stuff your body with a bunch of protein, have your electrolytes tank, have too much cortisol in the system, and then develop low T3. We don't want that. So that's another thing to consider, is that just if you do keto, you won't get enough glucose for your red blood cells, especially for your thyroid. You will always, here's the myth, you will always produce glucose on a keto diet. You're never 100% only using ketones. You dominate ketones, but you also, your body will go into gluconeogenesis to break down the amino acids, which we don't want too much of that with cortisol, to supply your red blood cells with glucose. That's the reason why people test their glucose and it's still in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and even 100. People could have diabetic symptoms or blood sugar numbers eating no carbs because our body's just barfing out cortisol, and that's what we don't want. I tried Burke's fasting protocol and started gaining weight. Now I'm eating high-fat carnivore every 3 hours and feeling fantastic. Thank you, Christopher Wolf. And this is great because guys have it's a lot more easy for men to do these like fasting protocols. Women, we really need food, basically, in some aspects more than men, because we need stuff for the protection of our baby, right? The supposed baby, if you're gonna be a fertile woman, which this is very interesting with natural selection, right? We are looking for a mate based on the quality of that person's health to procreate. So I'm talking about people who can produce a baby, that you're looking for the mate so you can procreate. You want that male stock, since I'm a female, to be of high quality. So he's got good sperm quality. I've got good viable eggs. And so the offspring can survive. And a lot of these primal things sort of get lost in translation because people don't learn more about the primal body. Now, I find this very interesting. When I talk to people here in the town that I'm in that don't know anything about a lot of, like, I'm coming from LA, so like low carb and keto and all that's pretty popular, and these dietary trends are popular. Can I speak English? Kanske ska prata svenska istället. Fatful Day, I like that one. It says, like up the stream, guys. I never check to see who's liking the stream because I'm just too busy. My brain gets too stuffed on social media. So, I mean, obviously, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing, I would never even be on social media because it's very daunting. Can keto help insulin resistance and cortisol? Yes, honey. Marianne, all day. So this is what I love about me showing you guys. Let me show you again. If I bring back, it won't let me bring it back. Oops, sorry guys. Bringing back the glucose chart. is because if you can get your body's insulin, your glucose down, your insulin down, right, in a homeostatic middle, right? Because blood sugar should go like this. You guys have blood sugar that goes like this, and then your body starts to damage itself, and it weakens the immune system. It weakens the quality of your cells. That's why, guys, I don't know how many times I go to the gym in Hollywood and like for years and see people never gain muscle. Like dudes, I'm like, why do I have more muscle than guys? Like, why do I have more abs than the guys? All right, stop. I'm trying to hide that ugly RV sticker there. And it's about your hormones, guys. A lot of guys are exposed to too many xenoestrogens. There's a lot of guys I know also who've got constipation. They can't get the estrogen out. Fluoride and pharmaceuticals and the water and certain foods are very estrogenic. Meat that's been, milk, cheese, like anything that's made to make a cow produce more hormones for milk is going to give you more estrogen, guys. So be very careful on commercial milk, cheese, cream. A lot of these people who are like doing the keto cream and then they're not doing grass-fed raw cream. Hypothyroid symptoms, losing some eyebrows? Yes. So it sounds like you got low T3. Let's see here. Fingernail ridges, dry. Ooh, you are not absorbing your minerals. If you're not getting biotin, right? You're not getting enough of all the vitamins. Hur säger man på svenska vitaminer? Kan inte komma ihåg. You're not getting in a lot of these like zinc, certain minerals that help with nail growth and skin quality, fat as well. Been doing your keto carnivore for about 2 years, and supplements you'd add iodine. You have hypothyroid symptoms, but you have the eyebrows. Selenium. So you need selenium, vitamin D, vitamin C, zinc, copper. So let's break this down in food. Liver has vitamin D. Awesome. Liver also has a little bit of potassium. It also has zinc and copper. And it has vitamin C. So liver is the most healthy food on the planet. Then we have oysters. So a lot of people have histamine reactions to seafood. People can't do shellfish. But if you can, then the next one is oyster extract or salmon roe, because then you're able to get the iodine from the sea, which is so good. Not the iodine tinctures. Those are toxic. They're very difficult for the biliary duct system, the liver, and the kidneys. Toxic. You guys are already having filtration issues. Don't want to add this synthetic iodine to your life. The iodized salt, toxic. Just if you can get the C iodine in there, you've got to start. A lot of people have histamine to it, so that means you got to work on the gut wall. So you can't add iodine to your diet via the C. That's what we want. So I would say salmon roe if you can do it. Oyster extract was just basically the meat of the oyster, powderized and hopefully cold pressed into a capsule. And then we've got liver, which is also going to give you, but there's spleen, there's brain with the omega-3s, there's vitamin D in the tongue of a cow, and we've got a lot of vitamin C in spleen and liver, and then we've got diamine oxidase, DAO in the intestine, the pancreas, and the thymus and the kidney. Those are the two where you get a good ample amount of diamine oxidase. So if you guys have itchy skin, rashes, mucus, headaches, heart palps from histamine, get on the fresh thymus, which is called sweet bread. It's not sweet bread at all. It is not sweet bread, but it tastes good. And get on the kidney. Do you still do lauric acid and mastic gum? So a lot of you guys have H. pylori. So this is a bacterial infection that eats at the lining of your stomach, and it destroys everything. Like your HCl levels drop. That's the hydrochloric acid in your stomach drops. You start to have inflammation of the stomach or the ascending colon. You develop gastritis, Crohn's. A lot of people are vitamin mineral deficient because they start to develop open holes in the gut wall, and people start to get a stuck ileocecal valve, and they can't. It's either stuck up or down, and they develop constipation. People develop um, um, blah blah blah, candida, yeast. A lot of people don't know what candida. I'm like, what? Yeah, why don't people know what candida is yet anymore? Like, or not enough should know about it. Okay. Let me see here. Fish meat is practically a vegetable. Okay, Ron, don't know what you mean by that. I'm a little slow, but we're gonna try to continue learning. Okay, do you still use lauric? Oh, yeah. Okay, so no, I do not use lauric acid anymore. Lauric acid is concentrated. It's the acid. It's the fatty acid in coconut oil that is awesome. It kills candida and microbes. It's just, yeah, and parasites. It's amazing. It's amazing. And then mastic gum is for any type of itis. So I don't do mastic gum or lauric acid. I don't do any of those things for any type of gut health strength. The only thing that I do right now is just the organ meats, because I'm at another level. You guys know I've been doing this for 14 years, and it's on its way to 15 years of being strict keto and teaching you guys low carb, high fat, which is still involving starch and carbs, and also carnivore, which is now trending. And so I cover all three diets. But if you guys have a candida problem, parasite problem, pathogenic problem, lauric acid, monolaurin, amazing. I can't speak more highly of it. Also, it's good for the brain cognition. I'm keto omnivore. Okay, so that means you're eating high fat plant, hopefully cruciferous vegetables. Recent thyroid test showed normal T3 but low free T3. Yeah. So Fred's a guy. Is more uncommon with men, but when you are having a leaking gut and you're not absorbing vitamin D, which is helping make the thyroid, okay, you're making T3, but it's low in your bloodstream. Oh, that's right, because your protein globulins may be robbing. That's what it is. So you have a taxi cab called a binding globulin, and it's a protein that sticks to things, right? But it grabs onto the thyroid hormone and it's not letting it out, so it's not presenting in the blood. And a lot of people who have the binding globulins steal T3, they can't even get it into the cell. So that might be the reason why your T3 free T3 in the blood is low. Okay, I've always struggled with ketosis. Keratosis pilaris, which I think is the bumps on the arm, right? So believe it or not, when I was younger, I used to have that, and I no longer have it at all. Wait, where is it? I don't have it at all. So I used to have it as well, and this has everything to do with the weak gut wall. So I don't know what kind of diet you're eating to then suggest what you should be doing. They keep it's genetic, but I think it's diet. Don't listen to them. I had that too. It's completely gone. It's gone. I relapsed this Thanksgiving, but I'm determined. If you're determined, that's all you could ever ask for, is to be determined and, to make the smart decisions. Okay, let's keep it rolling here. This keto diet just seems too complicated and strict. Seems like you have to plan too much. How about drink less sugar foods? No rock and roll. Okay. You know what's difficult in life, people? Okay. I can't even ask that question anymore today, because there's so many awful things happening in our world today, and we'll find out in a couple years how bad it's going to get. But let's just say pre-slam-ademic. let's say pre that. I used to say what's difficult is poverty. People think that something's complicated. It's because they haven't given themselves enough time to learn. If you actually just watch my videos on this channel, it's redundant. It's like a lot of people already know what I'm saying. It's old hat. It's always the same 50 things. Always. You have to get good sleep. You have a weak gut wall. Ooh, our soil is depleted of minerals. You need minerals to have the cells do jobs. Minerals help enzymes, enzymatic responses. Minerals are the tools for the little worker bees or the little worker ants to get the body factory to do what it needs to do. And if you're missing the right tools, you ain't going to fix that car. It's not complicated at all. What's complicated is trying to cure from awful health. That's difficult. Osteoarthritis in the knees. I do too. But because you guys know I was on crutches for 4 years, and I was a professional skateboarder, busted my knee in Sweden, fell off. I don't know, I was probably 12 feet in the air, 2 feet of vert, got my leg stuck, or the upper body rotated, the knee stayed, and then everything broke at the knee. And I've developed osteoarthritis in it, but I'll tell you one thing. And then my hip started. Oh, my hip was killing me too. I was wearing down my hip because I was always leaning on the good side, and then I started ruining my hip. And because I found out what all the histamine inflammatory foods were and took them out, and then I don't fast. So if you are fasting, people, your body, food is gasoline and it's medicine. So you take those two things out, your body's going to try to replace the food and medicine from itself. And it eats itself through gluconeogenesis. And we don't want that. We don't want to go through gluconeogenesis. No, we don't want to do that. Let's see here. Osteoarthritis in the knees. What can help? Wife currently doing Standard American diet. So get rid of the Standard American diet, up the fats, just to start that. Like even if you did low carb, which is using like parsnip, because I don't know, or sweet potato or white rice or jasmine rice in 3 ounces per meal, or 1/4 cup, or 2.5 ounces per meal. That's better than no carbs at all. 3 times a day with getting at least 120 grams of fat a day. And to give you an eyeball, 1 tablespoon of fat is 15 grams. So you need to get it up to at least 120. I know there's no real number, but how many times a week should one eat liver? I eat it every day, at least 1 ounce. That's like a finger. 2 tablespoons or 2 ounces every day. And then you can get that biotin, right, for the cracked nails, and you get all the other minerals. Why does your gallbladder hurt when you're up your fats? Oh, because it's infected. Oh, no, sorry. Oh, no, not infected. You might have the gallbladder is an organ, right? It's an organ that sits like here. And it sort of sits in the liver, and it holds, the liver is here, and then the gallbladder is somewhere in there, and it'll drop salt into it, and it'll drop bile salts in it. And so these salts, and it's very salty, sit in a watery solution. People start having pain when that watery solution turns into thick honey or molasses texture. And now the fluid can't dump the salt into the small intestine where the fat is trying to get digested. And so the fat gets stuck. Now there's nothing to scrub it down and make it small, so then the body can use it into the bloodstream. So it kind of gets stuck. And then when it gets stuck, you feel like nauseous and feel bloated. And sometimes people have shoulder pain or blade pain or right side pain. And it's crazy. This or just like, I can't eat any more fat like that. Let's see here. Let's get some more to it. That tastes amazing, right? You can grill it on a barbecue grill. You can air fry it, or you can deep fry it. But if you just put it on a pan, it's like rubber. But if you like break up that fat, make it crispy, it's delicious. It's good. It's so good. Okay, let's see here. Ray, kosher salts good is good. Kosher chicken meat also the best. Yeah, just make sure you get that kosher fat. So mastic gum or not. You need mastic gum. Mastic gum is great if you have an H. pylori infection. If you don't need it. We want less supplements, not more, right? We want nature first, supplements as a last ditch effort. Could you talk about why some who have been keto for 2 years would see worsening hypothyroid? Yes, because they're not adapting. They don't eat enough fat. People don't adapt because A, they're stress mongers. They can't get their blood sugar down. They can't get their A1C down. They can't get their insulin to be sensitive. They don't sleep well. Their liver is just junked up. The biliary duct system tends to not work and they're constipated. Now, you could have all those symptoms or a couple of them, but if you've got a couple of them, it's very, very difficult to keto adapt. And that's why the body's like, look, I'm not making enough ketones. So, and the blood sugar is wonky. So, I'm just going to turn down T3. And it's trying to slow you down because people, it's like fasting, right? You're not eating food, you don't have enough carbs, you don't have enough fat, potentially, or absorbing the fat, or not making the ketones, which makes the body think it's starving, and then the hair starts falling out. You start getting the constipation, the dry skin, all that, those thyroid awful symptoms. Would keto omnivore help with sleep apnea? Yes, Leon, it should. And well, some people are skinny with sleep apnea, but people like a lot of doctors don't know why you'd have sleep apnea and be thin. Most people because they're fat and the fat's like squeezing the lungs. But it's typically, I believe, right? This is a Stephanie theory that it's from histamine, right? It's because an inflammatory reaction is developing this inability to breathe throughout the night. Which macro split would help with joints as well? 80% fat, over 200 grams of fat. Depends on your dude. From 65 to 85 grams of total protein and 5% or a cup of veggies a day if you don't have a histamine response to it. What are some good low oxalate vegetables? Ooh, the cruciferous family. The broccolis, the cauliflowers, the asparagus. Yeah, it's things like spinach and chocolate and certain greens, kale, and sweet potato just has a little bit. Stevia has a fair amount of oxalate crystals and up in there. Stab your friggin' organs. Make stones. Stephanie, I know it has nothing to do with anything. Just wanted to say, hi, beautiful. You are a carrot. I'm Buff Carrot. Thank you. I'm not a carrot, but I have carrots for my horses. You guys know that I have my fur baby husband child named Thunder. That dude is the cutest thing. Let me see if we can find him in a video because now I got my phone with me. Let me show you my fur baby yesterday knocking on my front door. I'm not even lying. Knocking on my front door, and I'll continue to answer questions. Yes, I digress, people. Knocking on my front door to say hello and to wake me up. Let's see if we can find the video. Let's see here. And I can also show you my, well, I got to send it to my email. Maybe I'll do another video. So this is thymus, you guys. That's what thymus looks like. That's some thymus up in there, right? Okay, let's keep it rolling. Let's do some really low budget video production value. Where is Thunder? Okay. And we're gonna get back to can we done? Wait. Should you take if ox biles don't work from a cow, then you could take bear bile, which is the tutka. And some people do a lot better on tutka over. So if you Amazon it, some people do a lot better on tutka than they do the standard ox or cow bile salts. Where's my Instagram? Oh, here it is. Okay, people, look at this, and then I'll get back to your questions. Just you people right now, check this out. This is my horse getting me up in the morning. Look at him. I guess he wants me up, huh? He's like, wake up. Wake up, mama. That's what he does every morning. He hits the handle. Look at him. I can't see it. There's like. I guess he wants me up, huh? He's like, wake up. By the way, that's plastic fruit in that basket. It's not real. That's what he does. Every day, I've had to actually remove that handle because he pushes on it with his nose. He hits it back and forth to wake me up. And it actually shakes the RV. And I'm like, oh, please stop. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's a good guy. Would the bear bile help to eliminate a keto rash? No. For that, you would need probably the lauric acid. People were talking about lauric acid before. One thing, okay, you guys, this is the ultimate like rash hack, right? For Candida die off, the keto rash. But you can only do it for the short term. And the ultimate hack is activated charcoal. Because activated charcoal, it just soaks up them ketones, people. But over time, it gets rid of the rash, but then you start to become constipated. So that's counterintuitive. Keto, is it okay to eat beans? No. Beans have phytic acid in them, lectins in them. They destroy your health. They pretty much destroy the gut wall, which is your small intestinal wall, which should be really, really tight, and it opens it up. Okay, guys, I've been going a whole hour, so I just want to say thank you for everyone who joined the chat. Don't forget to like up the stream. I do consultations. You can reach me on my Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, my Facebook, which is Stephanie the Business Person. And yeah, life is good. You guys know I'm in Texas, and I think I found my property, and it's raw land, and I got to go build on it and bring all my little horses. I got a baby horse. You guys know that. Got myself a baby. He's a miniature Appaloosa, and he is so cute and such a terror. He's 7 months old, and ponies are just, look at the size difference. Look at that. He makes my horse look like a gigantic horse. So that's my little small mini horse. It's like, he's gonna grow 2 inches more than that, and that's it. Let's see, got our last comments coming in. Stephanie, how much water? 2 liters of water a day in the winter, probably 2.5 to 3 in the summer if you're living in South Texas like I am. In New Mexico, so it's hot in New Mexico. If you're in, how long would you recommend charcoal for is lauric acid better opinion overall for keto rash? I think that lauric acid is really great over time. Like, you could take it a couple of years. Don't take the recommended dose though. They have you do like 30 of these. They look like little BBs. You only need to do about like 7 per meal. But if you just wanted to get rid of the rash, then the activated charcoal is amazing. Do you think exercise pre-food in the morning or after? It depends on how early you wake up. If you're a really early riser and you're waking up at 3, 4, 5, probably after. Like a little, like you could do a broth. If you're going to a gym, for example, you could crack a raw egg yolk and a broth, not a meat broth, just a meat stock, like a soup, and drink that on the way to the gym, and then do that, and then eat a full breakfast, when you come back. But if you're waking up later, no. And if you work from home and you can get up and eat right away within 30 minutes, then it's best to work out mid-morning. That's like the sweet spot of getting the gains. Okay, guys, I am getting tired, so I just want to say hello. How are yas? Put down in the show notes below what you guys would like me to talk about. A lot of you guys don't do that, and I will help you on your journey. I have a keto course It's just $15 a month, but I work my ass off on it, or up. The booty goes up, it don't go down. No, it's going up. And I got some energy. I think that is it. And also for consultations, you can go to my calendar and book a consultation. For those who are hesitant, I've been doing this, guys, for 13 years, consulting people. I've done keto for 14 years, and I finally get it. A lot of stuff, because, that's all I do is research the body, and I'm an autodidact. I learn through you guys. I've had 5,000, 6,000 people over the years. So you learn through each person the very similar issues, like starting to see more hemochromatosis, which is high iron on men who do carnivore too long, because you can't bloodlet. So SIBO, etc. extreme. Yeah, SIBO is very interesting. So SIBO is often due to a couple of reasons. One is a stuck open ileocecal valve. Large intestine to the small, and bacteria gets backed up into your intestine, the small intestine, and you just overgrow with nastiness. Or from having two big holes in the gut wall and continuing to eat the foods that are inflammatory, that continue to open up the wall, make it open. And then also because they have too much stress, and that wall won't seal even if they have their diet on point, but they're still not getting enough sleep, which is you should be anabolic at night and not catabolic. I would like to focus on post-menopause, and hormones sometimes. I should do, I know it detracts from the men, but I'm going to do the next time keto for women. And I'll say, and some men who want to join the chat. But people need to understand about menopause, why so many women, their bodies go to crap right before they go into menopause. And there's a lot of women that fast, they lose their menstrual cycle. Like I said, progesterone hits the floor, testosterone hits the floor, and what dominates? Estrogen. And then you're going to have this aromatization, this estrogen loop, and getting more fat signaling from, and can't poop it out, and it's stuck in the liver. And some women who've got low estradiol will have hot flashes and low estrogen. And yeah, it's an interesting quagmire that you got to fix. Women get, like, I have not gone through any of this stuff. At the ripe age of 54, nope, I have not gone through any of it, because I've worked, you guys know I'm really strict on everything. I keep having conversations with people in this town. They're like, well, why are you so strict? Could you eat carbs and still have the same body? And I'm like, yeah, of course. But I prefer keto because ketones burn over a longer period of time. That means no hypoglycemia, no crashing, and all that fat and all those fat soluble vitamins. It's good for the skin, for the body, for the organs, for the stool, for elimination, for brain chemistry, for the sex hormones, for the cholesterol, because cholesterol makes your reproductive hormones 100%. But yeah, does ketosis kill bad bacteria? So basically, if you can stabilize your blood sugar and get rid of inflammatory foods and processed foods and foods that create glycation, which is damaging the protein lining of the cells, then yes, inadvertently, it can kill bad bacteria, because the gut wall starts to seal. The caloric acids that kill bacteria start to rise. But it's just not just like that. You actually have to get some probiotics in you at some point once that gut wall starts to seal up. And then you can use a probiotic to seal the gut. All right, guys, I got some energy. I had snowboarding pants on because I'm in my RV, and it was cold when I got in here. It was like freaking 59 degrees. Now it's 74 degrees up in here. See? And I got some energy. 54 and counting. You guys don't have to be estrogen dominant. You can still keep the booty. Women, as you get older, there's a lot to do with protecting your adrenal function, which your adrenals sit on top of your kidneys inside the body. And if the adrenals are working great, even if you're postmenopausal, you can still make sex hormones and build muscle and have tight skin and do all those things. and live the most amazing life without having like emotional roller coaster rides because of being too estrogen dominant. And men, you too. I want to go all deep dive with men with the whole aromatization, too much estrogen, not enough free testosterone, too much dihydrotestosterone, and the depression that men are going through these days. So I'm not a man. I don't have a leader to the Peter. I don't even have a Peter. But I was a pro skater and I was around guys all the time and I saw their mood swings. There is PMS for men too. It's called andropause. Women, andropause. It's like menopause, but for men. 54 and hot. Thank you, Lex. Yeah. Well, I'm in denial. You know, I don't have to live my life like some old lady. No. Okay, let me see. Leon says, thank you for your knowledge and your patience. This year I plan on doing your course and truly learning myself. Thank you again. I have a lot of questions, but for now I will just wait. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful life. Turn off your TV. Don't listen to what they say. Use your own critical thinking. Use your own brain. Be very careful. All right, guys, I'm out. Peace. Horsey time. I have to feed him. Oh my God. I'm touching my laptop screen. I have a Mac. I can't touch the screen, idiot.